Hello everybody and welcome back to Amity Bloom. My name is Nazi. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the release of my Christmas textile embellishments. I decided to take on a different route to the traditional Christmas colors. Obviously I use red, green, and white, but I chose a more pastel, more country, more vintage type of style. For this collection, I took a lot of inspiration from Christmas traditions. For me personally, I think Christmas time isn't supposed to be only focused on gifts. It's supposed to be focused on your family, because if you think about it, without your loved ones, if you were just by yourself, alone in the world, Christmas would not mean that as much as it does to you right now. If you have kids, your family, your loved ones, your traditions, your spirituality, that is what Christmas ultimately makes Christmas Christmas. That's why we love Christmas so much. Over here, right next to me, this steel container was actually my grandmother's, and in the container I have some wooden vintage ornaments that have been passed down. Our traditions in my family, every year we go to thrift stores, antique stores, and we find the cutest little ornaments, and that's what gets me excited for Christmas, is the eclectic ornament shopping. These are really cute little wooden ornaments. I absolutely love this one. This is a little bear. The cutest little ornaments. This one is really darling. This one's really, really cute. So this is what's passed down through my family. I do have this ornament right here that was my grandmother's, and it is pretty old. I don't put it on the Christmas tree anymore just because I don't want it to fall, because this sometimes comes apart. But it's a beautiful porcelain egg, and it has this really beautiful image. I also have this one that I actually made when I was little, and it's an ornament that every year we put on our Christmas tree. This is the inspiration for this collection: traditions, family, what Christmas really truly is about. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and show you. This is what I ended up creating for this collection. I am so excited for you guys to put your little hands on them. As you can see, I absolutely had a blast designing the packaging. These little burlap baggies, I got I think 10 of these from this flea market in northern Georgia, and they were selling a pack of 10 vintage burlap pouches, and I'm like, okay, that is perfect for what I have in mind for the packaging. So for the decoration, I used some cinnamon sticks. These are real cinnamon sticks, and I wrapped them up in twine, and I added some greenery to them. And then I have this little wooden clip where I have attached the charm. When I will actually be shipping these, the charm will be in bubble wrap, and I will be inside of the pouch. So I used some white embroidery thread. And in the charm, you get a really old vintage wooden ornament, which I was so excited to use. I use them from my grandma's stash, so it's something that I'm passing on from my family and giving to your family as a tradition. This one's a little wooden Santa Claus, and I don't know if you can see on camera, but it has some chips. As you can see, the paint is peeling on some pieces. These look like little crock pots. I don't know if you can see. They're little crock pots, like a little cooking pot, and they have a little heart cut out, and it's a jingle bell. Isn't that the cutest? It came from this, and this is something that my grandma had, and she would use to call us when like dinner was ready for Christmas dinner. And I love the little crock pots. I thought this would be the cutest thing to add as like a little charm. So I decided to use a couple of those, and I decided to put them on your little charm. I also included some little Christmas buttons from my stash. Here are some of the other ones that I created. Some of them are little snowmen, and this one has a little broomstick. Some of them are like this one with the little, I think this is a little drum or a toy. All of them come with a different little ornament, but they all do come with the same little jingle bell crockpot charm, and they all come with a different type of button. But these are the charms that you will be getting, and I thought those would be so cute that you could hang them even from your Christmas tree as an ornament, or from your journal, or from your traveler's notebook or planner, or from the mini journal that I created for you inside, which I will show you in a minute. So you get a charm, and then let's open up the packaging, which for Christmas time, for me, the fun part is decorating the gifts that you give to everyone. Let's open the burlap pouch up. There we go. I don't know if you can see all the goodies in there. These will be wrapped up in some tissue paper, just so that the burlap threads don't get onto your textiles. Something else that will be included in here is actually, so this is something that you will also be getting. I got this from an antique store, my local antique store. You know how sometimes they have the Christmas stuff that they pull out. And I'm not sure if I have 6 of these. If I do have 6 of these, then you will be getting a full sheet. But if I don't have 6, then you might be getting like a little square or maybe half of it. But I thought this would be so cute for those of you if you wanted to include it in your journal or if you wanted to make something out of it. I love it. I have one for myself already, so I thought, why not, include it and give it to you guys as well. It's absolutely beautiful. You can never give too much stuff for Christmas. So these are all of the goodies that you will be receiving. As I said before, I wanted to do the traditional Christmas colors, but a little bit more subdued, some pastels. I will start out with the tags. So this tag right here, of course, I had to do a tree embroidery. Let me tell you, this embroidery took me the longest amount of time, and I wanted it to look as if it was a tree covered in snow, and like the lace kind of symbolizes the snow that's falling down, the little buttons kind of as like the snow that's falling down on the ground. Something that we all desire is a beautiful white Christmas, so I thought I'd represent that on a tag. And then on the back, I covered it up with some sewing paper just so that it covers up all of the sewing lines. I had to do a lot of sewing with this one. So I included some sewing paper just so that you could still journal over it and it wouldn't interfere with your writing. You also get another tag, same size as this one, as you can see. This one has a beautiful story to it. I hope you can see it. I'm going to tilt it so that you can see it. It's all completely white. It's a beautiful pure white. My grandmother, she goes to church almost every day. She volunteers at a church, and she sent me some linens that the ladies in her church group weren't using anymore. She sent me this along with some others. I have a whole box full of the linens that she sent me, but these were linens that they hung in the church or they used when they were praying. I cried when I received that package because my grandmother, my sweet darling grandmother, she shared something with me that was so important to her, and I asked her if it would be okay if I cut one of them up to include in these Christmas embellishment kits, and she was full on. She absolutely loved the idea, and what I decided to do is I stitched that to the cover and I made it into a pocket. So this is a tag that's also a fabric pocket, and in the back, all of them you can journal on the back. I left them plain. And so you have a little bit of that textile that was from my grandmother's church back in Mexico. She lives in Puebla. So if any of you guys are from Mexico or you guys have been to Mexico and you have visited Puebla, she is from that village. I'm just so grateful that she shared that with me. And I'm so grateful that you guys will be able to have a little bit of history from my family and from my grandma and from her lovely little church. So this is the next textile embellishment that you will be getting. I hope the camera's picking it up, but this is some beautiful lace that has flowers woven all around it. On the bottom, I used some lace that I got from an estate sale, and then I went out and I cut out some fabric from this vintage napkin, this beautiful lace from a doily, and this little piece of green fabric that I got from a linen. This was the first time that I experimented with using pinking shears. I got one from the antique store. As you can see, it came in the original box, which I freaked out when I saw this. And these were pinking shears, and this is what they look like. They're like traditional. Like these babies, these are like 10 pounds. So while I was cutting the fabric, my fingers were like, my pinky and my thumb were almost swollen. They're extremely heavy. Like they're old school and they're heavy duty. And then it even comes with the old instructions. This was a treasure to find. And so I think I might just go to Joann's and buy some simple like 1 ounce pinking shears and just have this in my collection. So you can see a lot of the fabric was cut with the pinking shears. I love the extra detail that it adds to the textile embellishments. But this one has a little collage that you'll be able to see a little bit better in person, and it actually is a pocket as well. And in here I just have a fabric tag that I will put some string on it or some lace, and then on the back you have some journaling spots. So what I love to do with my textile embellishments is I like to make them interactive, so either as pockets, as flip outs, as a tag. You will see everything else that I did, but just, make them more interesting. And also, if you guys are making textile embellishments for someone for Christmas, try to make them more interactive, and they will turn out absolutely beautiful. So this is the next item that is in your textile embellishment. These are my tag journals that I created months ago. I decided to create a journal that resembled a tag. So this is the size of a Project Life card, if you put it this way. So it's mini 3x4 little tag journals, and I decided to use the vintage napkins that I got. I went to that estate sale up north, and I picked up a lot of vintage napkins. So these were one of them. And this one is so old that it even has some stains on them. So I didn't use this one as much as the others, but I picked up a ton of vintage napkins from a farmhouse estate sale. I also ended up picking up this little stocking that I ended up cutting apart for my textile embellishments, but it's a beautiful little stocking. It has a teddy bear, but I loved the textiles. They're woven and they have a really beautiful gingham design. So intricate, yet so simple. I loved the history that these pieces had. They're authentic, they're vintage, and they come from somebody's home. So that's what I used to decorate the cover. Both of these are vintage napkins. This is some vintage lace that I wrapped around, and then some buttons for my stash. And then opening it up, all of the pages that I used are 100% vintage. None of them are digitals, none of them are pages that I tried to make them look vintage. They're all 100% vintage. So let me zoom you in a little bit so that you could see a little bit better. So first page, this is from a vintage kids workbook. It's super old, so I had to enforce it with some masking tape. I don't know if you can see that, but I love that look. Masking tape, if you think about it, is washi tape just without, without the design. It's like vintage washi. Also, throughout these little journals, I did some stitching in red, which I used these little spools, if I can find them. I used these little spools for the stitching. These are some vintage spools that I got from an estate sale as well, and I decided to use them for the stitching of the embellishments and the journal. So you will see some red stitching throughout. These are some vintage line pages that have that yellowy kind of tint to them. Here are some vintage recipe papers. You know how I love the recipe pages. And I did a little bit of some textile embellishments on them. Some old ledger paper that you can write on, and I did some stitching. Because it was so old, I had to enforce it with some masking tape. These are some pages from the Edith Holden watercolor book, and I just put in the pages that had to do with December. Some of the journals have some images of like some berries, some holly. Here's some vintage music paper that you can also journal on. Some more line paper with the stitching. Here again is some recipe pages, but in the typewriter font, and then some little mini textile embellishments. So cute. And then these are some vintage Christmas pages from this huge book that I got from, I think it was from my stash. I don't remember. I think it was from a thrift store or an antique store. And just look at the graphics on here. It's just so beautiful, and it's all Christmas. And then these, I turn them into pockets. And so you will be getting some little Christmas tags and goodies as a surprise that I will be putting inside your little tag journals. And here it would be perfect to add like a picture and then journal, or you can add tip-ins. You could really customize this little journal to your heart's content. It's so precious. Look at this lace. It's so lovely. Some more of those Edith Holden pages. Ledger paper. The recipe papers. You could even tip in some of your recipes in here. I love how the red stitching looks throughout. This is the first time I use like colored stitching. And then some of those workbooks. So all of the journals have the same type of pages, probably different order. And I thought this journal would be so cute to document your little Christmas or make it into a little ornament. You could do so many things. It would be the cutest little stocking stuffer as well. So you get a little mini tag journal included as well. And then I have the little mini tags. This beautiful piece of fabric. This I did not create. Funny story. The same estate sale that I went to, that farmhouse estate sale, across the street there was a garage sale. I was so fortunate enough to find some placemats, you know, like table mats that you would put at the table to eat dinner. They were selling about 6 of those placemats, and all of them were these organic, authentic, vintage muslin, and they had embroidery on them. I shrieked when I saw this, and I believe they were handmade. The woman that I was talking to, she said her grandmother went in and hand sewn everything. I'm so grateful that I ended up being able to have such treasures in my personal collection. So they're like little berries. I don't know. They are the cutest thing ever, and you can even see, like, I love that it's not straight. I love that because that shows the handmade craftsmanship that was put into it. With this, I decided not to do anything to it. I just cut it out so that you all got a little bit of it. And I didn't cover the back because you can see all of the beautiful finishings that she did when she embroidered it. And you can see where she folded the fabric and where she went a little crooked and the fabric stretched because she was pulling it with sewing. I love this so much, and I'm so happy I was able to share this with you guys. You could put a little pin to it and put it in a journal, or you could put it as a tip in a journal, or you could just paper clip it to a page, which is what I would do because I would still want to see the back. You have a little bit of that beautiful embroidered treasure to put in your journals as well. I also created this little mini embellishment. This is just some vintage fabric, some of that napkin, and then this is from this ribbon that I have, some burlap ribbon. And it's cross-stitched, it's a little cross-stitched house, and I thought it was perfect with the red and the green. And if you remember the heart is very similar to the heart in the little crock pot charm, so I thought that went hand in hand. And you know, the heart of the home, they say, is the kitchen, and in the kitchen memories are made, traditions are made, and I just thought it was so cute that the heart of their home is in the middle and the heart is seen in this little crock pot. So I don't know, I thought that was just absolutely perfect, match made in heaven. Over here is something else that you will get. It's a little ribbon strip that I made, and these 3 buttons that you see here are handmade by me, and I am actually creating a tutorial to show you how to create these. I thought this would be something cute to gift to you guys. You know, they're made from my heart. They took a lot of time. What I love about them is that they're imperfect. You know, they're not like a regular button. They have imperfections, and that's what I love about them. And so I gifted to you some 3 buttons, and instead of a button card, I decided to put it on a little ribbon strip. So you can keep it as is, or you can take the buttons off. You could just take scissors and cut them off and put them in your own projects. That's something from my heart to yours. Some beautiful buttons that I made myself. And then over here, some embroidered tags. You know, I always have to do some type of embroidery and some type of tag. This one right here, I don't know if you can see, there's various pieces of lace that I layered up, some green linen, and then here I decided to embroider a beautiful wreath with some little berries on top. It took me a long time to try to make it a perfect circle, so I'm very proud of myself, and I think it turned out pretty cute. And then this little embroidered tag. I tried to embroider a poinsettia, but it was extremely difficult. I wasn't getting it just how I wanted it to. So I decided to take my own little, you know, my own inspiration of a Christmas flower. So it kind of looks like a poinsettia, but my interpretation of it. And then I decided to add these little green leaves just surrounding it, and then some little berries on the inside. I cut the embroidery with the pinking shears as well. And this one I did cover up so that you could journal in the back. And then I decided to do some fabric embellishments that had no backing to them. I like to mix match, so I like to include some that have backing and some that don't have backing for more of that, you know, organic type of feel to it. And I love these because you can feel how soft the embroidery feels. You can feel like the plushiness of the fabric, which I really like. So in this textile embellishment, I wanted it to look like a Christmas window. You know how when you drive by on Christmas night, or, you know, Christmas days, the days coming up to Christmas, you see candles lit up, you see all of the lights in the house turned on, you feel the warmth that's coming from the home. And I wanted this to symbolize the window. And I thought this looked really cute, like little icicles hanging from the window. I don't know, I thought it was cute, so I decided to create this little embroidery embellishment. And if you recognize, this fabric, this textile, came from the vintage stocking that I found from that farmhouse. I thought it kind of matched perfectly, so I used that to make this one. And then last but not least is this fabric embellishment. This one, I always have to create some type of flip out or something that you guys can put into your journal. This one is made from that same burlap, that same woven burlap. And then I decided to collage different tones of green. For those of you that took my color theory class, you'd know exactly why I chose these 3 green colors and why I chose the tones and all of that. So you guys would know why I decided to create and pair these colors up. So for this flip, I have this beautiful green lace that you can actually flip up, and then some beautiful green linen, and you can flip that up as well. And so I thought here would be really cute if you did your own embroidery. You could add it here, you could stitch something here, or you can add a picture and stitch it, and then you could simply cover it up with your fabric flip out, or you can leave it as is. And then I included a little button at the top just to give it some decoration. And I'm not sure if you can see, but the stitching that I used was actually mint. I also used some of this vintage kind of mint thread that I have. I have this really old little tray of multiple threads just because I thought it kind of went with the theme and I wanted to be different. I wanted to try out and experiment with different colored threads. So I'm very happy with the end result. So this is everything that you will be getting in your textile Christmas embellishment packet. I will also be including a beautiful Christmas card that I will send to you personally. I love sending Christmas cards out for Christmas, so I thought I'd go ahead and save that as a surprise for when you open it up. So these will be listed at 8 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard Time. I'm putting this video up a couple hours before just so that more people have a greater chance of purchasing and looking at the video and choosing if you would like to purchase or not. Typically, my textile embellishments tend to go a little bit quickly. What I decided to do for those of you who couldn't purchase or were too late to purchase, I am going to be creating a digital kit using this book. This is a book that my mother actually gifted to me, I think about 2 years ago. And I thought, oh my gosh, this would be perfect to put as a digital ephemera kit in my shop. And it's a super old book. Like, just look at how pretty the inner papers are. Like, look at this rose. Really beautiful images. And it talks all about Christmas. So I thought it would be really fun to scan some of these images and put them in my Etsy shop so that you guys can print them out, use them for December daily, or use them as journaling pages in your own journal, and they will always be there. So I think this would be really fun to share. So by the time you see this video, these digital cards / kit will be in my Etsy shop as well, and you could print them out and put them in your Christmas journal. So I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing my Christmas textile embellishment collection. It was a blast to create. And as always, I always like to create and put meaning into my creations. And I think that with this Christmas embellishment set, I really portrayed what I wanted to capture, which was the true meaning of Christmas. Christmas is about your family and making memories and traditions that will last forever. So I hope that through these Christmas embellishments, you guys feel the warmth and feel the happiness that I put into making these. I hope that you love them. I hope that you use them in your journal, or that you give these as a gift if you want to gift it to someone. So if you're interested in purchasing, I will leave the link to my Etsy shop down below as well in the comment section. So you just have to click the link and they will be available for purchase at 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your kind words, your kind comments, and thank you for inspiring me each and every day to come out with something greater, to come out with something more special for you guys. And as always, my friends, I hope that your day is filled with a huge abundance of peace and love, and a Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.